What's up out there? Welcome back to some more Melvor Idle, and today we're going to take a look at the Ancient Sanctuary. Now, I know I've already done a video on this. This is going to be an actual guide to it because I've now idled this thing out. I know what the rewards are, and I have a few more things that I didn't quite think of in the original video, and I have a way to idle this. So, let's dive in. Okay, for some general recommendations, and this applies to pretty much any dungeon you're ever going to run into, there are things that I would recommend that you do. Regardless of what dungeon it is, these little tips will work. Not really tips, but just things to do. On the first dungeon run, use damage reduction potions because that's going to give you the best chance of survivability. As you get used to idling the dungeon, you can run Diamond Lux and increase your DPS with this, your damage per second. You want the damage reductions for safety, and you want the Diamond Lux to go through this faster. Now, there's some other potions in here that might help out and might be kind of cool, but as a general rule, I run damage reductions the first time through, or if I'm iffy on whether I'm going to make it through. So that's what I do for potions, is either Diamond Lux or damage reductions, depending. And then for prayers, now I'm at 120 on everything, and I've been at 120 on everything. I've just got a little better gear now. But for prayers, I would run Battleborn and then Valor. For this particular dungeon, for other dungeons, I might run Battleborn and Avidity or Battleborn and Divination. But a good thing you can do is run Holy Aegis for 5% damage reduction, and you can also run Stone Skin at the same time. So you can get 8% damage reduction between these two, in addition to the damage reduction potions and whatever gear you have. So if you're really close to not being able to do the dungeon, or if you have to run through the combat triangle to work the dungeon through, by all means, equip as much damage reduction and all the things that you can into this to survive, because that's the whole goal, is to survive. So let's dive into the actual dungeon itself. Now, to unlock the Ancient Sanctuary, you will come in here and first thing you'll see is that you need to have the Labyrinth solution purchased. To get that, you have to go through this Slayer area for the Jungle Labyrinth and kill everything in here until you get each one of their Labyrinth clues. Once you've got all 5 clues together, you can go into the shop. I believe it's in Slayer, and then right up at the top is that Labyrinth solution. So once you've got that purchased, you can then get into this and do this dungeon. Now, this one hinges on doing that Slayer area. You're going to get... thought I had some laying around. You're going to get these Labyrinth clues. Now, I've sat and idled those, so I have quite a few of these here. They don't really do anything, and they're not really worth a whole lot, so no reason to really keep them, but I have them hanging on anyway. So, when I first did this dungeon, I wasn't quite sure how to idle this. This one's actually going to be idled by your melee character, and typically, I don't really know of an instance where it's not this way necessarily, but typically you're going to idle the dungeon based on what the final boss is. So if the final boss is ranged in this case, you're going to idle it with melee because that's what's strong on the combat triangle. That's where you get your bonuses. So this one is a really easy dungeon. This basically follows the Jungle Labyrinth. So you're going to fight 6 hungry plants, 5 poison toads, 1 Kangamato, 6 hungry plants, 5 poison toads, 4 Kangamatos, 3 Kongas, 2 Alaroons, and then the final boss is this Morelia, which I timed very well. She's dead and gone. But I don't remember if she does anything like stuns or anything like that, but if any of the bosses do stun, you want to make sure you have enough hit points to go over it. You can also hold down the heal button. If you're just getting into this dungeon with barely the equipment that you can survive it with, and you have to use the combat triangle against all the different creatures as opposed to using melee all the way through it, by all means, follow the combat triangle, heal manually, and do all of those things. And if you need to run from the dungeon, like if it's too strong, you're not doing enough DPS on the A creature or any creature, run. Just get away from it and survive to do another day. But when you defeat this, you're going to get a treasure chest. So let's go into the treasure. What's your rewards? On the reward side of things, you're going to get this ancient chest. And if we go into the chest contents, you can get 100 carrion bark, weakness exploit or cape material, jungle spores, poison lifesteal amulet, toxic maker gloves, and thorned power cores. So if we go into these, the carrion bark, let me find that stuff here. It is somewhere in here, right there. This stuff is used for various shields and power bows and things like that. So you're going to need a bunch of this stuff. And I believe this is the only place you can get it. There might be some other places. I don't think you can grow it, and I don't think you can farm it anywhere, maybe in here. Like you can get it from Hungry Plants and stuff like that. But pretty much you're not going to be able to grow it. You're going to have to just go get it from either the Slayer area or this dungeon. And you're going to run this dungeon quite a bit because you're going to get a pet out of it. But so you're going to get some carrion bark, and then we come back over to here, see what else we get here. Weakness exploiter cape material. So that stuff is, where is that? May not have any. Oh, here we go. This is just, you're going to need 100 pieces of this. This upgrades into the weakness exploiter cape, which I've not used yet, but it gives the enemy damage reduction is decreased by a flat 2% plus an additional 5% if you're using range. So this is it gives 3% damage reduction for a cape. That's really good. And you get some additional bonuses for ranged. So you're going to need that. And then the weakness finder cape, which I believe the weakness finder cape comes from the Slayer area. And it's probably going to come from somewhere. I thought it came from in here. Here. So the poison toad. So you're going to basically grind out the jungle labyrinth and then go in and grind out the ancient sanctuary to get pretty much everything out of it. Going back to the chest over here. Poison lifesteal amulet and the toxic maker gloves. These are kind of cool. I haven't used the poison lifesteal amulet that much. I did try it out just a little bit. Have to search, I guess. Search for everything. Poison lifesteal amulet, minus 50% poison lifesteal. It's okay. Not really much to say about it. The poison maker gloves, you're gonna need these at some point. Which, do I have them equipped? I do not. These things here are for herblore. So while you're creating lethal toxin potions in herblore, you gain +1 deadly toxin potion as an additional potion. So this thing here, it does a little bit of damage, I guess, or little bonuses somewhere. Maybe. No, that's because this is taking a negative. So there's no combat related portion to this, but you can actually make potions out of this thing. And you're going to need those for these potions right here, these deadly toxin potions. So if you don't use this potion at all, you're at least going to need it for a completion account. You have to unlock this. So that's another one of that whole daisy chain of events there gets you to those. And then the thorned power cores. I believe I've already upgraded this. You're going to need 100 of these, 100 of the carrion bark, and then you're going to need a carrion longbow, and it creates this thorned power bow. So that's what you're going to get out of this. That's why you're getting the carrion bark in addition to the other stuff you need. Of course, this all goes towards completion, and then the thorned power cores give you this really good bow with some decent damage reduction. Now, I want to say this is a two-handed bow. I have not tried it yet because I've been running all crossbows, but pretty decent rewards from this, and that you can definitely, once you've collected it all, you can use this to move forward, because at some point you're going to be fighting a dungeon with ranged. So that is the rewards. Now we move on to the additional rewards that come out of this dungeon. For clearing it one time, you get this Poison Pod's ancient magic spell. You only have to clear the dungeon one time and you get this. You have to clear the dungeon 100 times and then you unlock the Nature's Bloom. I want to say that before I forget, you also get this 5th gear slot unlocked. Just by beating it, you have the ability to go into the shop and purchase it. But the ancient magic was something I totally didn't think of when I did my first guide. I didn't realize that there was 1 clear and then 100 clears. So I've been using this Nature's Bloom potion or spell. This is pretty kick-ass. This thing does a lot of damage. But there are some ancient magics that come after beating certain dungeons also. And then finally, we get a pet out of the deal. You get Penelope, which is plus 2% chances to double items globally. So that is pretty much the entire ancient sanctuary. Once you've beaten this out and ground everything out of it, There's not really any more reason to go into it. So get your, once you've gotten all the gear, stay with it until you get the pet. The pet's just a random drop. There's no guarantee when you're going to get it. You just have to complete it enough times. And that is the Ancient Sanctuary. So that will do it for this one. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.